Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. I have the honor of having Mr. Zach Schiffman here. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
It's my pleasure, dude. Thank you so much. Guys, before we get started, I want to thank dreamchasers.com for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you so much. So, Zach, we got connected by somebody through email. So I don't know much about you. I see. Is that a Peloton shirt you have on?
It is.
Yeah, I love it. So we're good. I like Peloton. I love doing that. So, what I like to do with my audience is kind of let them tell their story, and we'll kind of get going from there and see where it goes.
Sure. So my name's Zach Schiffman. I currently live in New Jersey, just outside New York City. And I kind of have two lives. By day, I work in the network news television industry. And by night, and also, I guess, still by day, I own a photo and video activation company in the New York City area, but we also do events worldwide.
And when you say photo activation company, what does that mean?
So in layman's terms, like photo booths that you would see at a wedding or a party, but we focus more on the corporate sector, brand activations, and product launches, PR events, those kind of things. And we do a lot more than just photos. We do 360 video, we do animated GIFs and immersive green screens. Anything you can imagine, we can create. Sure. And that's why we don't like to call ourselves photo booths too much.
Well, see, now I'm intrigued because people have told me I need my own GIFs. So I think I might have to. So you could do stuff like that. Is that what you're saying for people's brand? I love that.
Definitely.
So what got you into that business? Did you see a need for it? Was it an up-and-coming market?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So I got into TV early on in high school. I went to Emerson College in Boston and kind of thought my whole life was going to be TV production. I fell in love with it. Spent every waking extra minute at college in the TV studios, directing TV shows, working the TV station, internships, all over the place. And I had this realization, I think my sophomore year, that what happens if I decide TV's not for me? And I changed my major and I created my own. And I made it a dual major in TV production and entertainment marketing. I always loved marketing and brands. I used to go to focus groups all the time during college for extra money. And I just, like, that stuff fascinated me too. And I wanted that backup plan. So I went that route. Out of college, I took a job at ESPN. Some would call it a dream job. I was living in the middle of Connecticut, making under 30 grand a year. And it wasn't really a dream job for me. I'm not a huge sports guy. TV production wise, it was awesome. It was like a great way to get my foot in the door. And I loved it. For the most part, but it was hard to pay the bills and just enjoy life at the same time. And around that same time when I started, I went to a wedding in Las Vegas. It was my cousin's wedding, and he had a photo booth there, and it was a photographer who just took photos with a nice lighting setup, and you could share them, and you got prints instantly on the spot. And I had never seen it before. I hadn't been to a lot of weddings, and I said to myself, this is something I think I could do. I'd always been a photographer, always had a DSLR camera attached to my hip just for fun, loved to take photos. And I kind of let that sit on the back burner. Like a year or so went by, my grandmother passed away, left some inheritance, used that to pay off all my student loans. And I had like $2,000-$3,000 left over. And I said, well, let me do something for me. And I said, you know what, let's pursue this photography business. And I thought, hey, I'll be a wedding photographer. Tried that, did 2 weddings, nearly missed the first kiss, out of focus shots, realized this is like the most stressful thing you could ever do. Like, no, I'm done. And I was like, you know what, let's try the photo booth thing. And I got paired off with Groupon, did like the deal of the day back when Groupon was one deal per day, launched my business for a few $100s an event, got a crazy amount of leads, used that money to front the rest of the capital I needed for a printer and the rest of my equipment. And then it kind of just took off.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, my schedule in TV was all over the place. Like, I didn't know what I was working 2 weeks out. It could have been nights, it could have been weekends. So it was hard to book events, unless I wanted to take holidays and vacation time out of my allotment. And I got very lucky where one of the talent at ESPN she left the company to go to NBC Sports. And she took the director that was working on her ESPN show with her, with her. And then he took me. He called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to come to New York?" And I said, "Not really. I never really liked New York. I thought it was a back step in my career. I had just been promoted at ESPN, and he wanted me to do my prior job. And he said, just hear them out." And the guy called, gave me a number that was in the six figures, and I said, "All right, I will move to New York." So I packed up, and within 2 weeks, I moved to Southern Connecticut, right outside New York City in Fairfield County. And I was working a 9-to-5 job now in the TV world. It was really like 10 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
That evolved. I ended up becoming a regular at the Today Show with early morning hours, 4:30 to 11, and it really let my business just explode because I had my afternoons, I had my nights, I had my weekends, and I just went full force. And being in the New York market, it grew. Every year we grew, and now we're a mainstay. I have staff under me. We're growing. We activate in all different cities. We travel, and it's from what my side hustle became is now my main hustle. I almost call TV my side hustle now, but I love it. It's a crazy life, but I'm here for it, and I love every waking minute of it.
And so you still have your TV job, correct?
Yeah, so I was working full-time freelance for the Today Show Monday through Friday up until COVID hit.
Okay.
Once COVID hit, I didn't work in TV for about 8 months, picked up some side work here and there. Now I'm slowly back into it. I work every other week, but it's like a ghost town. It's just a different world now, with social distancing and skeleton crews and whatnot. And it also killed the event industry.
Yeah. So I am curious about that.
Yeah.
Has that came back? Are you still kind of reeling from that?
We're reeling for sure.
Okay.
It was this week last year that I started getting all the emails from big clients like, "Hey, Coachella's off. Hey, the Kids' Choice Awards is off." All these like awesome events creatively. I didn't even care about the money. Like creatively, we were doing some awesome things. We were going to the Masters for a week and working with Topgolf on their launch down in Augusta, like things I was just excited to do. And then every event was canceled. We ended up pivoting to virtual events, and we create virtual photo booths. They're web-based, fully branded for brands. And at first I was like, I don't know. I don't know if this will be a thing. And a year later, I get, 5-10 leads a day, and I'm busier than ever, but I'm not leaving my couch.
So I'm interested in that. We own an Airbnb management company, and I've been in that space forever. So you can imagine what COVID did to that business too.
Yeah, for real.
My friends. And so, but what I've found is that the art of a true CEO, entrepreneur, leader of a company is to pivot. And maybe in the first week or month, we don't know what that looks like.
Right.
But, one of my mentors told me something that was very important about COVID. This is probably a couple of months ago. He said, listen, everything that's happening now in technology with Zoom meetings and everything was already coming. And so COVID basically just sped everything up 10 years.
Yeah.
And so what do you think it was about your personality that you were able to find? And yes, you still want to do the live events, but what do you think was able to find kind of a different avenue to keep your company going?
Yeah, I'm a tech nerd. So, and I think having the marketing background, a lot of photo booth operators are like, they're also DJs, or they just see it as an add-on. They've never really taken a photo in their life, and they treat it as a plug-and-play system for a few $100s here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a jack of all trades. I focus on one thing, and I like to do it well. So I focus that energy into this virtual space, and I know a little bit about HTML and coding, but not enough. So I got developers on my side, and I started with some turnkey systems, and then I sort of evolved that into our own. And now, we have companies that come at us and say, like, hey, we want to try to do XYZ for our employees internally. And we said, yeah, lay it all out and we'll code it and create it for you. And now it's like we had a client today that realized they could use this virtual photo booth as a registration system for an online event that they have coming up. Like, oh, we can aggregate photos of all the attendees and make them register this way. We always have an issue getting them to submit by email, so we'll force them this way. And I anything I can do to problem solve. It doesn't have to be a photo booth. It could be as simple as a website where you talk about what your company's goals are going to be for the year, and you take a photo along with it to brand it. We're doing that with Ford right now, a huge internal campaign. They're launching a whole thing called The Plan, and it's like, what's your commitment to Ford's plan moving forward? And we're creating a full intranet website for them that all their employees will log on and talk about their commitments.
This is so intriguing to me because they classify me as the out of the box guy. Like,
Yeah.
I like to think a little crazy. We're putting on our third event in Nashville in May.
Cool.
Bunch of investors, bunch of speakers and stuff, and it's just interesting because we as a society are moving to video, moving to this thing, and the question is there's 9 bajillion, social media accounts. There's 9 bajillion YouTube videos. How do you get somebody's attention? And so from your point of view, just as what your company does, what have you seen for anybody that's listening out there? If they're trying to stand out from the crowd, what have you seen that works that you've had, basically success in?
Are you talking in the COVID world or just in general?
Just in general, just
Yeah,
the things
I mean,
that you've seen over in your company and time, in the time space.
That's sort of like the core competency of what we do. We try to think outside the box and create unique experiences that make people want to promote brands. So, you come to me and say, hey, we have this brand. I mean, it could be a real estate company. It could be as simple as that. And you say, we're doing an open house and we want something fun for our guests. I mean, it doesn't have to be Ford. It doesn't have to be Coca-Cola. It could be a tiny local office. And we can come in and create an interactive photo booth, or we can create, do 360 slow-mo video with people throwing confetti everywhere. And the goal is that it doesn't matter that the logo and the branding's on that output video, that the guest loves the video so much that they're just organically want to put that on Instagram right away. Yes. They don't care that they're promoting you for free. If you think back to the dawn of Instagram, everyone was like, ooh, hashtags. And let's hashtag everything. Hashtag Coca-Cola, hashtag AMC, like whatever. People just did it because it was the thing. And then influencers came along and people started realizing I can get paid for this. And now nobody wants to post stuff for free. No one's going to hashtag and tag your brand without an incentive. So we try to make it more organic where they don't even think that way. They just think, oh, this is so creative and cool. Like, I need my followers to see this. Or we gamify it and we say, post with the hashtag XYZ and you're entered to win ABC prize. And we gamify it that way to push engagement.
Dude, it's interesting. I actually, as you're speaking, I have 2 guys I have to introduce you to. Right now, as soon as we get done with this, I'm so pumped for you to meet them because you are going to go off on some other world. We might not see you for two days, but I have a construction company that we're launching it's changing the way that people build.
Cool.
And long story short, my buddy runs a virtual tour 3D company out of Sacramento for home tours, but they're getting into the reality space and VR and everything. And so what he's building us out is a So basically it's going to be a time lapse video of the assembly of the house and then pull it apart like with all the parts. And so I'm going to post that on social media. And yeah, it's going to be great for social media, but it's actually more for our investors to show how we build something, right? And what people don't understand is if you don't understand that this is the way that everything's going, because so I'm like, I set up the meeting. I didn't even know my business partners are civil engineers. I didn't know what the hell we're doing. Yeah. I just thought it was a cool thing. But what we found out is through the architecture term, the system that they're doing, they can back out the cuts that the crew will need to make. And I thought to myself, like, he's like, you just saved us like a month worth of work. And I'm like, oh, well, great. Like, and so like, that's why I love to get in this space, because every day, like you said, every day we're finding something new that's going to speed up and be able to show, because I study the art of storytelling. Like, it's like my thing. Cool. I think brand stuff, and you have to tell your story of who you are and what you do in a different way that gets everybody to go, oh, damn. Right. And I think that's what you specialize in. And that's why I love this conversation, because it's so important to stand out, because there's a million of these, there's a million of that. And you really have to plant your flag as a business.
So essentially is what you're doing like Matterport, but to like the next level of actually the build versus the final.
Exactly. And so it'll be actually cutouts for our construction crew to use, so they can do the same cut over and over again, like a build out list.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, that's what he does. And what the reason I'm thinking of you, and we'll talk offline, is that we're going to create time lapse photos with regular construction and then our builds to show the difference. And I'm thinking we're going to have a big investor event in KC or something at the sites. And I was like, I want to make it this event that everybody walks away and they're like, damn. Like, totally. Just, like where they're walking in and stuff. And it's just fun to me to be able to create, because I'm all about that. Like, I spent my whole life is creating experiences for other people, and experiences leave somebody telling a friend.
Yeah.
And when you tell a friend, your brand's working.
Right. It's the most powerful marketing.
Yeah.
And people ask me all the time, like, how do you market your business? I'm like, I really don't. I've always been word of mouth. Mm-hmm. And I've always said that's the most powerful. I've tried AdWords, I've tried this and that. I'm like, it's just a waste of money to me. Like, short of like search engine SEO, like I read like people sharing our final outputs and people talking about what we do has always been the best. There's nothing better than getting that call or email that say like, so-and-so from this company speaks highly of you guys. And then you just, then it's just an easy sell at that point. You don't have to prove it.
Exactly. And so are you so basically, if I'm understanding correctly, you pivoted towards the virtual things, but as soon as the United States opens back up again, then you're going to go back to your events at whatever scale they are. So in essence, yes or no, and you have like two revenue streams or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think virtual is going to be here for a while, or be hybrid as some are calling it, where a Vegas conference, 100,000 people that normally go, maybe 50,000 go and 50,000 attend virtually. I think there's going to be a lot of that. New York is slowly, and Jersey slowly opening back up for weddings and such. So we're seeing the brides and the couples come back for sure and start to fill out the summer. I think it's going to become a very busy end of the year. I don't see a lot of corporate clients doing in-person events probably until Q4 or Q1 of next year. I think nobody wants to be that first event where something happens and, there's an outbreak. It's just bad PR. It's not worth it to them. I think companies like Ticketmaster have already said, like, they're not doing anything until next year. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where, like, concerts and stuff go for sure.
Yeah. No, 100%. But I'm interested because I don't watch a ton of TV. Yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, is that an Emmy across your back?
It is. Yeah. This is my Emmy for the Winter Olympics that I did Sochi back in 2014.
That's amazing. TV. I mean, obviously you've got this company over here. TV must be a passion of yours.
Yeah, it's still. I love my job. It's that working for the Today Show is a dream job. I've had so many once in a lifetime experiences, and like that aspect of it is so great. And like the spontaneity of it. Like I got a call 20 minutes before I logged on with you, and it was my scheduler saying, "Hey, can you go to Austin, Texas on Thursday to do something with Al Roker Friday morning?" And unfortunately, I'm working elsewhere this week.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, I've just been dying to travel. I'm vaccinated now. I'm like, get me on a plane, and I'm like, no. But
well,
it's
you know why they called, right?
What's that?
Where do I live?
Do you live in Austin? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Funny.
See, we could have been having a drink.
We could have been. Well, I'm gonna be in Costa Rica, but yes,
even better, even better.
No, it's interesting. I try to tell people, and tell me if this doesn't sit well with you. The art of traveling, or like the act of traveling, actually excites me more than the actual traveling. Like I could get on a plane, fly somewhere, get back on the same plane, and fly back, and I'd be like, oh, I'm good.
I do love the airport experience, and being that guy who I traveled a lot more than this past year, but like gaining gold status and having the club access and like just being that guy, like even if I just have to get my one free drink, like that stuff just excites me. I love that.
So what have you taken from, because I think that like I've wrapped my personal brand is like I'm a guy that travels. Like we're about to build a van that I can live in because one of my coaching clients does that for a living, and then we're going to travel around the United States, right?
It seems like what everybody's doing this year.
Yeah,
it's all I see on TikTok.
Yeah, and then we're thinking about moving to Colombia, like cool. Like all that stuff. But like, what have you learned from your business and the TV business on how somebody goes about telling the story? Like, because that's what people fall in love with, is the story of why you're doing the business or why you are what you are. And I think I've done, whether it be accidentally, I've done a good story of living my brand. And so what do you tell like the corporate clients that you work with and stuff like that? Do you have to, what I mean by that is, do you have to fight a lot of what they deem as the thing, because really you're the creative juice behind it, right?
That's interesting. I'm not fully sure.
Because here's my problem is you understand where the consumer's coming from. They want to be intrigued and they want to be experience wise. And as a corporate brand, they sometimes bring they might not be up to date on the newest trend of the virtual tour. And so how do you get, when you're in that conversation with business and somebody's not seeing your point of view? There's a better question. How do you get your point across to get them on board with your idea?
Thankfully, we're a visual medium, so it's very easy for me to just show past examples and try to get a point across. Because someone would be like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what an animated GIF is. I don't know what green screen means." And I can say, "Oh, Food Network." I'm like, "Give me an hour. Let me mock something up." And then I send them, a mock-up of myself transported into the Food Network kitchen app. And they were like, well, that's cool. And then we just go full steam ahead. And I have no problem being that creative, but the best is a partnership when someone comes at me with the creative idea and we can feed off each other. If, I love being pitched something and saying like, let's just tweak it this way and get to this level instead, and we could each have one idea and then our ideas merge into something even better.
No, it's a great point. And so what I've noticed, and this is why I'm excited to talk to you offline, because what I've noticed is that people hang on to things that you say and then they know you for that, right? Yeah. And so like I say, like one of my favorite lines is like, nobody cares, fucking work harder, right?
Yeah.
And so like people know me by that. And so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the power of a gift or a saying that you can create to be a marketing brand. Like, do you see that as kind of one of the next kind of avenues to gain attention?
We've been trying to change ourselves into more of a creative agency than a photo booth. And the hardest thing I think I ever did was not put a ton of thought into my company name. And, thankfully I'm not like Giggles and Smiles photo booth or like, one of those cheesy, stereotypical wedding photo booth names. I came up with Studio Z Photography, Z being Zach, and it was studio, and I was like, oh, that's fine. and then it merged into Studio Z photo booths. And now even though our website's still studiozphotobooths.com, just because of the age of it, I rebranded as Studio Z Custom Photo Activations, because I see us so much more than photo booths, and I don't want to be pigeonholed to that. I want to be that creative agency that people can turn to create those marketing ideas. That I want to be more than just, we take photos and slap your logo on it.
That's a good point.
I'm happy to talk about like ROI with them and analytics and reach and all, all the buzzwords that they love, and try to put somewhat of my marketing degree that lives in the back of my mind to good use.
Yeah. And it truly is those buzzwords that activates their brain. And they're like, oh, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
that works. Right. And like, ultimately one of my favorite quotes is like, you position yourself or you'll be positioned. And so by tagging your brand on it and saying things like, I've thought about, like, I have all these sayings that I say, and so I'm going to create like a t-shirt line, and like I have my own coffee, and like, it's just, because my buddies run a coffee company, and it's like Construct Your Life Coffee, and like, it's fun, right? Like, people are like, oh, well, like, I'm drinking, Austin's coffee, and I'm like, and I think people need to have a little more fun with their brand and just let it be their personality, and then let it organically become whatever the hell it's going to become.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure. And so if people want to find out more about your company and follow your journey, how would they do that?
Yeah, my website, Studio Z Photo Booths with an S at the end.com. All of our information's there. You can always reach out to me direct on the website. I'm always happy to talk and pass, ideas around. And if it's something that I personally can't do or create, I can find someone who can. And I'm not above myself to pass a client off to someone else that can do it better.
No, I love that. And that's a great way to be. Guys, if you like this episode, make sure you send it out to your friends, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.